Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Between the Pot and the Hard Place. I'm Stephen Colton, the champion.
And I'm Chris Kirkpatrick, and
And-
I bow to the champion.
Yeah, I mean, this is just something funny that I wanted to do. You know, I saw this because I've talked about being a wrestling fan and stuff.
Yeah,
but, I'm not as hardcore as I used to be, but I saw this on sale, so I was like, all right, let me grab it. Took like technically 4 days because I ordered it on a Saturday. Got the little snaps.
Nice.
All official. Shiny. I try to keep it like out of the way and not setting out. Most people I look at YouTube videos, I have them on a shelf or whatever. But I just keep mine in a little fancy little, it's almost like a felt bag.
So
Now, it's not really felt, but
right. Is that a legit belt? Like the same one they give out on TV, or is that a replica?
It is a replica.
Okay.
This one, it's awkward to hold it on camera. Hold on, I gotta fix something here. We don't want to hear that again. Boop, there we go.
There we go. We're on the right side.
And now it's upside down. It's so heavy. Well, it's not heavy, but it's just like I try not to touch like the metal plates too much, get fingerprints all over it.
Right.
But yeah, it's a replica. Normally these are like $300. It was like half off, so it was okay. I've always wanted to buy one. Of course, it's not like a legit real. I guess technically it's real. It's not imaginary, but yeah, it is a replica. It's simulated leather. It's not real leather, but it's pretty flexible for being fake leather. Because growing up, I never owned one, but I'd seen them on YouTube and seen other people with them. And the older simulated leather straps were like so stiff. It's like they would take a piece of vinyl and like sew it over cardboard to make the straps.
Right.
The belts are like, I think like a zinc material. I'm not sure exactly. It's solid real gold. No. There are belts
in the price, right?
There are belts that are legitimate, like genuine leather straps and like gold plated and stuff. They're thousands of dollars. It's ridiculous. I'm not that big of a collector, but I've always wanted like some sort of belt. So I thought, why not?
I mean, it looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's decent detail. There's like several out there that are way better. I mean, but this is just one of their standard replicas that they put out real quick. And I ordered it. Yeah.
I saw your unboxing video.
I kind of wanted to get my live reaction. I thought I would be a little bit more excited, but I realized that I don't show excitement when I'm opening something. I'm like, inside, I'm like, it's kind of like on Ghostbusters where like Phoebe was like upset and she was like, oh, I am upset. I just don't show external emotion or whatever.
Right.
I'm the same way, but with excitement. It's like, aren't you excited? Oh, I'm very excited. I'm like that a lot.
Or what you really need to do is you need to like go over and above. You're like, oh my God. Right. I mean, I think that, you might just have to oversell it a little bit, especially if you're going to do an unboxing video. Otherwise, people are thinking you just don't care about the belt very much.
Yeah, I think my initial reaction when I unboxed it, I didn't even look at the front of it. I knew what it looked like, but I was like, that was the biggest expression I had was like,
right. Like you were a little bit underwhelmed.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, it might have looked that way. I got excited because I spent like the day or two before that not buying, but watching unboxings on YouTube. And so I knew what to expect. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's so shocking. And but yeah, it was fun. And I'm probably going to collect more of them just because they're so cool. Like I take several pictures of like, look at me, I'm the champion. And I recorded another video that I was going to post later, like showing detail, like look how this is and look how the paint is. But I kept awkwardly like having to like trying to do it with one hand. I should have had a tripod like this set up and did that then. But I took the camera into my room and I was like, I wasn't making that kind of video. But but yeah, I just kind of like showed it and I was like, let me turn it over. And I had to set the camera down and like all this stuff. So I was like, I probably won't.
It became Stephen Colton After Dark.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. Thank you. It's good to be back. Corey was confused for a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. I just wanted to kind of show that. I know I did the unboxing thing on here, but
yeah,
I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun.
I think it's great. I want to officially welcome you back, Stephen, and I just want to give a big shout out, thank you to Corey, who really stepped up last week and jumped on the show and gave me someone to talk to. And Corey and I, I wasn't worried that we would, be able to hold a conversation for an hour and a half. I think, if anything, I was worried we would go too long. But
no, it was pretty good.
He did a great job. I really he made it fun, and again, I think he's on this podcast, virtually leaving comments about as much as we are. So just makes sense to have him on.
Watching it, I kind of felt like Peter in No Way Home, where Doctor Strange pushes him out of his body, and I'm just like watching, like this is the exact conversation we would have had probably.
Absolutely.
So it was cool.
Yeah. That said, I don't want you sick. Don't make that being an excuse. Now that I can run the show without you.
Like, Corey, come in. I'll tag you in. I have the belt. I'm sick. The champion has to be protected.
I will tell you, the one hilarious thing was, we had done a demo of our podcast just getting started, and I could have sworn that I had been able to make that intro music go and put up the icon. And for whatever reason, I tried hitting that button like 10 times, and it would not start. And so the first 10 or 15 seconds of the show last week was Corey and I just staring at each other, waiting for the music. And then we just decided, all right, we'll just go with it.
Sorry. I was like, I want to make sure see if it works for me, because sometimes the buttons, I don't want to say they stick because they're not physical buttons, but there is like a delay sometimes when you're
right.
I've had that issue when we're sharing the group posts and pictures and they don't click right away, and then they double click and then the old one pops up.
It's just my luck. You know how it is, like when you need something to work and it doesn't. That was absolutely my situation. But that said, I thought last week went great. I had a lot of fun.
And Corey said it was hard not to tell bad stories. I was watching.
I appreciate that he held back a little bit.
I almost wanted to get some popcorn and be like, okay, what is he going to say next? Like, what is he going to talk about? Did you chase him with a chainsaw? As Halloween ends, the story of you guys growing up, is it like based on true events?
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember that Corey and I, we are telepathically linked. So if he had said something, or if he even thought about saying something, I probably would have, noticed it beforehand. So
probably. And Corey kind of tapped into with that telepathic power and kept forgetting names, just like I always do.
Right. So he was definitely playing your role adequately. So
we should have just came on the show. You should have just came out at the beginning. It's like the role of Stephen Colton will now be played by Corey. Like
and will now be played by this sock puppet. Yeah.
And then Corey could have put on a fake beard and like a little hat and then pretended to be me. And
that would have been hilarious.
Made no mention of him being him.
Right.
But I don't know. It was a fun show to watch still. Like I watched it. It felt weird to watch it and not be on it, but it was different. I don't know. I was like, yeah okay.
I think if there's anything that I learned from it is the show will go on. So that was important.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and throw out these social media links, or not links, but whatever.
Yeah, if you guys are watching us right now, either recorded or live, and you haven't already subscribed to us on YouTube, what are you waiting for? Go and hit that subscribe button so you guys can keep up to date with our content and our live viewing.
So yeah, check us out on all those platforms. It's a lot to say, so I'm sure most of the people watching can read. So I'll let them read that and then kind of go from there. And one day I'll add the Facebook group address in that.
That thing though has about as much information as it possibly can contain.
Yeah, I mean, because it one more space I could probably squeeze in, but then again, it would be so much to
I know. It's too bad we can't have like a crawler that goes across the bottom of the screen, and it would just like throughout the entire episode, like the news give information. Part of me goes, that'd be kind of cool if we had information like that.
Yeah, and that is possible. It's something I wanted to try a long time ago, but I just kind of forgot existed.
Okay.
And then
I didn't know if that was even an option.
Yeah, because we have different logos here. We could go back to our classic logo for a second. Oh no. And all the overlays that we always show with the images of the posts and the comments. And there's video clip sections that we have. and there's backgrounds. I think the overlays, there's a way to have one. I don't know if it'll scroll, but I think there's a way to at least have a banner. Yeah, there's a banner option. You can create a banner. Okay. So I just haven't played with it. We started going with the show on this platform, and we tried that one other platform. It was Streamlabs, I think. Streamlabs, yeah. And that one seemed great, but it was a lot more technical, and I didn't really understand how to use it. It was very frustrating. So I thought, let's just go with this for now. It's a lot easier to use. It's so smooth and streamlined.
I was really not being a tech guy, and I'll be the first to confess that technology is not my friend. I do the best that I can, and usually I get lucky with it. But I found we could work on it. Absolutely. But I found StreamYard to be pretty darn user friendly.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I leaned back towards this one. It's, I got a pretty good deal on the membership. I don't remember how much it is a month. It's like a few dollars a month. I don't even remember. I don't even notice that I'm paying for it because it just comes out and it's such a small amount that I don't even, like I said, I don't notice.
You know what's hilarious? It seems like a commercial for StreamYard, which StreamYard, if you guys want to sponsor our podcast, we would be more than happy to accept your money.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So I know we got a lot of stuff to cover here tonight, some catching up to do. Let's just jump right into it.
We got a lot of the Facebook group posts. I know we didn't have any last week. I was gonna make some last week. I don't make them. I just save them and save them in here. But I guess I just didn't think about it. And I could have had them all on here, and all you guys would have had to do is just click and show. But I didn't think about it, and I feel kind of bad. I'm like, we always show those. But we're gonna get started with some of those.
Let's do it.
And I've been noticing a few new names in some of these posts, which is exciting because our group has almost 1,000 members now.
I know. We are
984, I think.
We are 16 people
Something
away
like that.
from.
Yeah.
So I know I've known C for a long time.
And I figured like a lot of these people are people you knew.
Yeah.
Or at least knew online, or even, friends in person, whatever. But still, it's nice to see more names popping up in these posts.
So for this meme, for you, which one would you choose?
See, that's the thing. I looked at this and I was kind of laughing. I was like, what would I do? The money, because you have the power and intelligence of Spider-Man, so you can do everything Spider-Man can do. But then with Bruce Wayne, or Batman, you have the money and the skill of Batman. So you're not only Batman, but you're also rich Bruce Wayne. Spider-Man, if it was just the superhero part, I would probably pick Spider-Man because he can actually do things and has real power. He doesn't have to prepare. He has the Peter Tingle, and it works. Peter Tingle works great. But Batman has money. So you could probably pay for research to create a formula to become Spider-Man and still be Batman and still be rich. So I'd probably go with Batman.
Well, and the idea here, Batman is he's pretty intelligent too.
Yeah.
Right? So be a billionaire, skilled vigilante. And then the hilarity of having Spider-Man's powers in Southern California, at least in our area where there aren't a lot of skyscrapers.
Spider-Man in LA would be nice, but in
LA, there's a reason though why Spider-Man is in New York City and not in Smallville, right? Because there'd be nothing to swing off of. So
crows flying in the air, you wait for a crow to go by,
right?
Swing them.
Right. So my choice on that one was easy.
Yeah, I mean, and with Bruce Wayne's money, you could find out where the lab was that created those spiders and make another one and have it bite you on purpose because you know what the outcome would be. And I would think that Bruce Wayne's health and DNA is a lot stronger than Peter Parker's, so I feel like he would be probably just as good of a candidate to have it than Peter himself. So but I mean, overall, I would go with the money. And this one. This is really kind of just an advertisement, kind of a shout out for another podcast, the Angry Geek Show, Face and Heels podcast. I believe it's a wrestling podcast. I have not checked it out myself yet, but given the name, it's because they're talking
Royal
about
Rumble 2022.
And I watched that myself with my roommate, and I just kind of sit here on the couch and watched it, and that's where they showed the ad for the belt sales, and I'm like, okay, let me browse, and then I ended up buying one.
Nice. Well, and what I like about our group is, we're not really in competition with anybody. We
No.
really are. We really are celebrating the stuff that we love in all of its forms. And so if we can promote another podcast that's out there putting in the work, then we're going to do that.
And if you want to buy, belts, you can go. I'm not. The WWE does not pay us. That would be amazing because that would be a great sponsorship. But you can go to www.shop.com and check out all their stuff. And there are also belt makers out there on the internet, and independent belt makers that will make a better quality belt. But you're spending 2 or 3 times the money.
Right. But WWE, if you're listening, hey, well, we're open to a sponsorship. So,
yeah, for sure.
I know
they have this podcast going live at the WWE offices.
I'm sure they are. And if they're not, they should be.
Well, they might not have it live in the offices because I would say their office typically is a 9 to 5 kind of thing. And they're in Connecticut, so that's East Coast time. So it's almost 9 o'clock there. So I'm really overthinking this, but yeah, sponsor us, please.
Exactly. Exactly.
I like this one Corey posted, the dating game.
This one was hilarious.
It was so funny. It took me a second to realize, like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Are you watching the Book of Boba Fett?
I haven't yet. I need to.
Okay.
My Disney subscription ran out, and I haven't.
That joke, that meme, won't make any sense to you if you haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett. Though if you've seen The Mandalorian, you've known that lady from The Mandalorian. But she comes on and she says that she had dated the Jawas. So it kind of made sense.
That's a little bit funny. I mean, I understood the characters and who everyone was, but I didn't really get.
She was like very furry, so much fur.
Oh, they're furry.
They're furry. Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen them without the cloaks and stuff on? Because
apparently she has.
Apparently, maybe that's why they hid, because they were hurt that she called them furry.
I guess so.
And I just wanted to throw this out there because I just bought Ghostbusters Afterlife on Blu-ray. I want to say a few days ago, less than a week ago. And I was so excited to see it in the store because normally I don't buy Blu-rays like immediately because they're like $25 or something.
Oh, yeah.
And which, fair enough, I guess. But I usually wait a few months till the DVDs or Blu-rays, I guess, or $10, $15, because they usually go down pretty quick. Within a year, they're half price. But I just grabbed it. I saw when I grabbed it because these new movies like that, I went to a Walmart and bought it. You'll see the little end section with all the new release on the top. It was like 8 rows of Ghostbusters. 2 days later, you go, there's only one DVD copy left,
Right.
So I grabbed it. I just instinctively just grabbed it, went home.
And I want to say thank you for sharing your code with me.
Yeah.
Because I watched it with my family again here this week. And, I loved it the first time that I watched it in the theater. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes you watch a movie and you like it the first time and you go back and rewatch it. And that light, Vicky watched it with me. And
awesome. That's cool.
We really enjoyed it a lot. It was Grammy's first time seeing it. She really enjoyed it. But we watched it the second time and it had an impact. It was still powerful. And for me, that's the sign of a really good movie, is that you can rewatch it and it still feels like the first time.
I think the second time watching it for me, I watched it a couple of days ago. I think the same day you watched it, or maybe the day after or the day before. We watched it around the same time.
Yeah.
We didn't plan that or anything. It just happened. I think the second time I watched it, I was able to sit back and enjoy it more because I knew what was coming. So I didn't have to sit on the edge of my seat, really hardcore paying attention to see so I don't miss anything. Not that I wasn't paying attention the second time, but I was able to just really just take it in more and not have to wonder what's going to happen next.
Right. One of the really
the second time.
Exactly. One of the really cool things that I had not realized was how many people who had been involved with the first Ghostbusters movie had returned to work on this one.
Yeah, a lot.
There were tons. And in fact, the guy who wrote and directed this movie, it was the son of the original director of Ghostbusters. And so for him, I could really see him working really, really hard to honor the original film.
Yeah, and I think that's great that they had so many people working on it that worked on it in the beginning because they wanted to capture the authenticity. I almost said it right, but then I stopped myself because I was like, I'm going to say it wrong.
Right.
and I was watching some of the Blu-ray features. That's like the plus side of buying the discs because
Right.
you get all the special content. And I was watching one of the making of features, and they were showing that they took this, like, scanned those pink swirls coming out of the sky from the original film to use them in the new one. So they kind of really took a lot of stuff out, and they used a lot of practical effects as opposed to visual effects, which of course there were tons of visual effects. Those proton streams weren't real. Sorry to spoiler alert, everybody.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, like they used a lot of the practical stuff. Like I'm sure they got real terror dogs though. I think they did get real ones.
Yeah.
The only
No fake. I don't want a fake terror dog.
The little Stay Puft guys, those were real. Apparently they got them on eBay from the Willy Wonka factory.
Oh wow.
No, I don't know. I'm just one of those things is a lie.
Yeah.
But no, it was fun to watch some of those little features and how they made it. And then the one that got me the most was like showing them. It wasn't really on the Blu-ray, but I saw it on YouTube later. How they made the suits, and they went and got like the material and made them look bad.
You're right. They intentionally made them look rough and worn and like they were poorly hand sewn. I thought that's the kind of detail that most people wouldn't even notice, but that's what they did. I thought that was amazing.
And
I'm still just blown away by the cleverness of the writing.
The writing was better the second time, I thought, because like I said, I didn't have when you first see a movie, you want to really capture everything and pay attention, so you miss details sometimes. The second time, you're not having to pay attention as focused. You get to enjoy it, and you notice little things that you didn't see before.
Right,
and that writing.
I think ultimately, Afterlife gave us a serious Ghostbuster movie with hilarious elements. Right, it had comedic moments in there on purpose. Yes.
So Corey just volunteered to sew us 2 Ghostbuster suits.
Corey, you are a gentleman and a saint, and I thank you for that.
Yeah, I might have stretched that a little bit.
Just a little bit, like the suits he's going to make us.
Yeah, I kind of with movies, I was like, I want to give this code to somebody that loves this movie too. And then you can watch it any time. It wasn't like a one use only code, like you own a digital version. But the only reason I ever use those codes, which I do sometimes, is if I'm too lazy to get up and put the disc in. I'm just like, I don't want to get up and do it. Click. And there we go. But with that one, I'm like, I don't mind. It's such a good movie. I don't mind
it worked.
Lifting
it worked. Right. It worked really great for us. We put it onto our laptop and then cast it onto our TV.
Nice.
Yeah. It worked out fantastically. And again, I had the same kind of emotional response to Afterlife the second time as I had the first time, which doesn't always happen.
Well, for me, it was like kind of the opposite. I still felt the emotion behind it, but it didn't get me as much. Like when I saw it the first time in the theater, I kind of teared up, especially at the ending where, spoilers, everybody, this is still a relatively new movie. We talked about spoilers already on the movie, but when Egon's ghost hugs his daughter for the very first time ever, and then he fades away because like everything is complete, he no longer has to stay around. That is the moment that got me the most the first time.
Oh yeah.
And then I watched it the second time. I'm just like, oh, but it didn't hit me as hard as the first time, mostly because I knew it was coming, and I'm like, I'm going to pause this really quick so I can get a snack and then watch that moment. And then it's like, okay, maybe if I just watch it straight through without thinking about it, then it hits you again. You don't think it's going to happen, then it does.
Right. I really love the slow reveal throughout the film of exactly who he was that had died and how they're related to him. And, just at that moment when they realize that, that they were related to Spangler, who was a Ghostbuster, so they have the same last name.
You would,
that would have been a little bit more obvious.
But just like everybody else in New York and across the whole country, I guess everybody just thought that all those stories were conspiracy theories. Like this didn't really happen. It was like for some reason because everybody watched it happen. But then like 30 years later, they're like, no, that didn't happen. I just wish that my only, I want to say criticism, and this isn't the Ghostbusters episode, so we're probably but it's so much fun to talk about.
It is. It's great.
I just wish that Rick Moranis could have been involved. I don't know
He was
why it
really
wasn't.
he was the only original member of the cast
Yeah,
that for whatever reason didn't even get like a micro cameo. Maybe he was
nothing.
too busy doing Little Shop of Horrors 3, and
Or
maybe that's why.
there's rumored, I don't know if where they are in the development or if it's even true, but they were going to develop another. I don't even know what to call it, but the Honey I Shrunk the Kids. There was going to be another one. Apparently,
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids again.
I think it was going to be called Honey, We Are in a Micro USB Slot or something like that. I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
But yeah, they were supposed to be working on one of those, I thought.
I would have loved to see Rick Moranis in the movie.
Corey's actually right. I know I read a story about how he kind of stepped away from acting because his wife had passed away, and he did have a kid, at least one kid, I think. And so he just took time to be a family guy, you know.
That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we often think that, oh, it would be amazing to be an actor and to be a celebrity and to be in a movie or on TV. And then, you know, we look at the reality of it and it's a lot more difficult. So there could have been personal reasons.
Definitely, yeah.
But I mean, they at least got
They got Harold Ramis, and he, you know, somehow.
Yeah. You know, back from the dead.
That was his real ghost, actually.
Yeah. Amazing how they arranged that. Now I was thinking about I don't know why I can't remember her name.
It's me. It's being on the left side of the screen. You're
like sucking it out of my brain. No, I
push it back in.
Yeah, I know. She was on Aliens.
Oh no, I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of her name either. Wow.
Well, anyway,
maybe Corey knows or somebody else knows.
Yeah. At least we got Paul Rudd though. Sigourney Weaver.
Yes. Thank you. I knew somebody would chime in.
I knew that's why we kept you around to give us the answer. All right. And you guys are both though too slow, Sloppy Joe. I could have used that about a minute ago. But
even Janine is back.
Yeah. Janine was back. Again, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of her.
Yeah.
It was like she popped in just to remind us that she's still alive.
I think she'll be in the next one, like Ghostbusters 4, whatever. I almost said 5, but I'm like 2016 did not happen.
I know.
But yeah, Ghostbusters 4, maybe she'll be in that one because you know the way they ended it is like clearly there's going to be another one. The only really inconsistent part of that whole film, and I think we talked about this, was that Ray was like, "Oh, it's a Starbucks now," and that firehouse was completely empty. Had been for 30 years, you could tell. Right. So maybe the Starbucks is around the corner. I don't know.
I think he had been being sarcastic.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. What's up next?
No Starbucks. Oh yeah, I forgot. We're doing more posts.
Yeah.
Wow. Dove chocolate tastes way better than their soap. I got to agree.
Having tried both, I would have to agree as well.
I mean, I did a blind taste test, and I did not do that.
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 people prefer Dove chocolate to Dove soap.
The thing I love about this meme is the fact that completely unrelated to anything going on in it, a guy in a Spider-Man costume is just standing there, and it's like, okay, it's just like Spider-Man came to tell you that chocolate tastes better than soap.
Right.
Makes sense.
Right. Thank you for the public service announcement.
Yep. And this was an interesting post I noticed. Another new name that I haven't really noticed before. William Blackshire. Thanks for, posting. Thanks for being there. And it's interesting because it's an Iron Man 3 poster, and it's kind of hard to see, but it looks different. I couldn't place what it was. Maybe it's like one of those bootleg posters that they just threw on there. And it's hard to see. I should have I cropped it in better, but I think there's like a character with like some weird. It's hard to see on this one, but I felt like there was this is like a Where's Waldo kind of meme where like we got to find a mistake.
Right.
It's just based on the post. It says I'm in Walgreens as was looking through the DVD and Blu-ray bin when I noticed this Iron Man 3 cover on the stand. And it's like, okay, what stands out about it? And I did notice it looked different. Maybe it was just like a European like cover or something like that, and they just used that image. I don't know. I didn't quite get that one because I couldn't really tell what was so different about it, but I knew there was something there.
I think there might be some other images that are
Yeah, there were some other images.
screen.
Yeah, I kind of want to just throw a little bit of that up there. So if you want to see the full post, you can go to our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/between a hard place, and click the like button. We're almost at 1,000, so yeah, do that, please, and check it out. Let's see, get this off here. So, good. I thought the button was going to freeze up on me. Spoiler alert: a new Boba Fett trailer. I mean.
So for the record, I like literal puns, and this is about as punny as it gets. You know what's even funnier though is the last 2 episodes of Boba Fett has been starring the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda Grogu, and Luke Skywalker. In the last 2 episodes, Boba Fett has essentially become only getting a cameo in his own show.
Yeah, I heard about that. They're like, I haven't been watching Boba Fett. I want to, but a lot of people are like kind of negative about it, and they're like, "Oh, the first few episodes of Boba Fett were terrible, but I love the return of the Mandalorian. This is such a good show."
So don't listen to the haters.
Oh yeah, I never really do.
They're wrong. I really like it, and I'll say that from somebody who has never been all that crazy about Boba Fett. However, I think they do a great job of telling his story. And if you see the Book of Boba Fett as being a piece of a larger story and not just one self-contained story, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, so, that's kind of how I looked at it. Not even seeing it, I knew that it was going to be like that. It wasn't going to be like.
Well, and we all thought that his story was over after he fell into that Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
And as we find out, that was just the beginning of the story.
So this show is set kind of after that moment?
It is immediately preceding that moment, right? Nice. So we have Return of the Jedi, and then this is the immediate aftermath of that.
That's really cool. I mean, I know there was what was it, like a novel maybe, or a comic book or something that told a version of that story before, that he was still alive and all this and that. And then when the Disney got Star Wars, they were like, oh, none of that counts anymore. But it's like, how dare you? And they were really mad about it. And then now it's nice to see that they're throwing little bits of that kind of thing in there.
I'm gonna make a comment that will probably get me in some trouble, and I'm gonna apologize for it, but not really. I like Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett better than I like the last 3 Star Wars movies.
That's fair.
I find the characterization and writing and storytelling much more interesting and engaging.
That's fair.
Not that I hate the new stuff, but just not my favorite.
Okay, thank you. Tales of the Bounty Hunters was
the book.
I knew I'd read about it or read it somewhere at one point, but I couldn't remember. Yeah, of course, I'm kind of in the middle. I liked the original Star Wars trilogy, and then, of course, better than the new trilogy, and then, or the second. Wow, there's so many trilogies. That's a trilogy of trilogies.
I know.
Episode 1 through 3, a lot of people, like my friend Brian, that pops up sometimes, he does not acknowledge the existence of those first 3 installments. And I can see why. I mean, what? Why did you do? I don't know. 3 was good. I love 3 because of the ending, like the origin of Darth Vader. Great. But the first 2, you probably could have just not done those movies and just had that 3rd one, and that was it.
So I will make the argument that while I had to laugh at people who camped out for days to watch Phantom Menace. I still thought, oh, you saw it in theaters?
I did.
And I did too when it came out. Was it a slight letdown? Yeah, it seemed almost like a children's. If there had been like a animated woodland creature, I think I probably wouldn't have shocked me too much. That said, seeing the development of Anakin from a child to a teenager to an adult, I thought that was really important. And I had never really understood the whole Clone Wars thing.
Yeah, never
I think
really.
that second movie was super vital to. There were a lot of Jedi that we didn't know about.
Oh
And
yeah,
if
a
you had
lot.
wondered about the evolution of the Emperor Palpatine
Yeah,
and just how treacherous he really was, so I really liked it. Plus, I think just for that lightsaber battle with Darth Maul in the first movie, and that lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin.
yeah, that was the best. That was one of my favorite
Yeah.
battles in Star Wars, and I had people probably
So
shoot me for that one, but I mean,
no, I think, but it's right. I really do feel um, like it. Those movies at least had some really powerful moments.
yeah, like that was
Um,
my favorite moment in those three movies is the ending, that the end battle, because I was watching some kind of interview with George Lucas. That was back when he still owned it. He was talking about how he kind of wanted that battle to feel like they're in hell,
yeah,
and that it was Anakin's transition to become Satan, essentially. And here was like Jesus and Satan fighting, and like, I mean, how many memes of Obi-Wan as Jesus have you seen?
right.
I don't think that was planned. I think that was just a
No,
coincidence.
you know
But
what's hilarious? You know what's hilarious is when you have people that don't watch Star Wars sharing that meme, and
yeah,
you're like, I don't know whether to laugh or whether do they really think this is Jesus?
I mean, he looks like Jesus in that picture, in that one
Well,
meme.
and it
It's like,
says you won't share this because you're afraid to have a picture of Jesus on your wall, and I know some of my religious friends will go and share that picture,
yeah,
thinking
I've
it's
had, yeah,
Jesus.
I've had family members share it, and then
Yeah,
another one, and we'll get on with the rest of the post. But
yeah.
another meme that's similar to that is, what was that? Tropic Thunder, I think, was Robert Downey Jr., Jack Black, and what was the other guy? Where they were like playing military people in a movie of a movie. That weird. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it in so long, but there's a meme of those three guys like, share this if you have respect for our soldiers or something
Oh,
like that. And
I
then
remember that.
people post that and go like, I'm like, that's fake. And they're like, how dare you spit in the face of our armed forces? I'm like, you don't, it's a movie. It's not. And I just leave it alone. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but they don't know. They just think they're posting something, and they don't understand that it's a joke.
Right.
Yeah,
That's I think that's the funny part in
I know.
the memes target, the aim of it. I love this one, so I had to post it up there. And
Well,
I was
and
like,
yeah, well, and so that's my dog, right? So,
Batman, apparently.
yeah, Batwoman. So Harley is a little Spitfire. It wouldn't shock me if she prowls the house at night, fighting
mask.
crime. Yeah, yeah.
Fighting crime. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's a fly. We have to stop it.
She really does. She really does.
And then most of us probably knew already, the Punisher. He's coming back. Same guy.
John Bernthal is fantastic, and if you haven't watched the show The Punisher,
I still need to get on that.
you really do. It's
I need
only
to get
2
back
seasons.
on my Netflix stuff. Yeah,
Only 2 seasons. He does a really great job playing the character. I find it hilarious though because they kind of lump the Punisher in there with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Daredevil, and all three of them are very, I'll beat you up, but I won't kill you.
yeah.
And the Punisher is like, he leaves a trail of bodies behind him wherever he goes, and he usually ends up on the right side of things, but he doesn't mind how many people he kills.
And that's another thing. I didn't. It's kind of like, I don't want to say it's political, but you noticed I've read some stuff online where a lot of police departments were using Punisher logos as like, hey, don't mess with us. And then Marvel was like, stop it. Like, we don't want you doing that, because like they didn't understand like the idea of Punisher. He's like, I'll kill you. And it's kind of ironic because like a lot of the, the commentary on police violence and things, it's like, oh no, we're good guys. Well, great job proving it by showing a picture of Punisher who kills everybody. So like,
Right.
I just thought that was kind of funny. They didn't do it to be like, oh, ha, ha, we're so good. It was just like, we like the Punisher. He's cool. Like, he stops criminals, but they don't really understand the character is enough to really be doing that.
Yeah, he definitely straddles the line.
Yeah. Corey, he is like Peacemaker. I need to watch that too because I haven't seen that Suicide Squad or that show. I really need to get on that.
You haven't seen Suicide Squad?
Not the new one. I saw the original one that came out like 5 years ago, whatever. But I haven't seen the newest one.
You need to see the new one. The new one that was produced by James Gunn is better. It is much more twisted, and it introduces Peacemaker.
Is it included at all? Like, is it tied in at all with the first one, or is it just like a reboot without saying it's a reboot? Because I've heard different things.
There are a few characters in it that are the same. Amanda Waller's in it, so it's in the same continuity, but there are a lot of new characters also.
That's the thing. Without having seen it, I couldn't tell if it was the same continuity or if it was just like, let's reboot it but keep a lot of these characters. So that's kind of like cool to see that they didn't completely go, bye to the original.
No,
but make it better.
You still have Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie is still Harley Quinn. You still have Rick Flag. And
I know Will Smith is not in this one. I think, is the character still in it, or did they?
No, they didn't. They didn't include Deadshot.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I really need to get on watching that though, because I did enjoy the first one. I thought it was great. I saw that in the theater. But,
it's great.
I don't know. It's just so hard to juggle all these streaming services. I'm like, which one do I subscribe to? Which one's expiring?
Oh, I know.
And it's just right now I'm just on Peacock and Hulu, just the basics to watch old TV shows. Finally finished watching Smallville after like 17 years. That's what I was obsessed with for a while. I watched the first few episodes, like just to refresh my memory. I'm like, okay, because Superman and Lois was coming up soon, and I was like, let me watch. And then I just got sucked in and watched all 10 seasons of Smallville.
Right. I will tell you that I've got HBO Max because we already have HBO, and I love it because they release a lot of new movies. There are a lot of series that come up on HBO Max. Again, not sponsored by HBO Max, but if you guys want to throw us a couple bucks, I really like HBO Max because they've got quite a bit of superhero content.
They really do. I noticed that when I had it last.
Yeah, and then Disney Plus has done some really smart things as far as Hawkeye, and
that was a good show. Still surprised.
WandaVision, Loki, all of those shows, and so those are two of the streaming services that we have, or Disney Plus, and HBO Max.
I had Disney for a while. Like last year, I had the Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN package deal for like $20 a month. I was never a huge sports guy, but it was nice to have that to go back and watch a little bit. Yeah. And then after a while, though, I just really didn't watch it enough. All the Disney shows that were out, I had watched, and I was like, there's really nothing left for me to watch. So I'm going to let it expire. And then when something new comes up, I'll subscribe again. I'm going to subscribe to Paramount Plus next month. Because, I mean, a lot of the people, I don't know how many people that watch the show play video games, but I'm a big video game person. And on Paramount Plus, they're doing a live action series of the video game Halo.
Okay.
So he's like a futuristic army, like military soldier who's fighting off alien invasions, things like that. And they're doing a live action version of it on a show. I'm just like, okay, it's on Paramount Plus. Gotta subscribe.
Nice.
It's coming out March 14th. So. I mean, I wish I should have had a trailer or like a picture of it to show, but I didn't think about that. But I forgot about these other posts. This one, geek.net, they've shared a post on our group page before, so it's nice to see that they're still coming back. The Rings of Power are on display in these new character posters for the upcoming Lord of the Rings series from Amazon Prime. Now, I've never had Amazon Prime, but that's pretty cool. I was never huge into Lord of the Rings. I'm not bashing them at all. What I've seen of them, I've liked. So I can't say anything bad about Lord of the Rings. But it's cool that they're doing this.
Yeah, I will say that Amazon Prime has done a pretty good job with series. I hold Lord of the Rings to a pretty high bar. I think that the trilogy of Lord of the Rings the book series as well as the 3 movies. I think that's about as perfect a trilogy as you could probably ask for. And
I mean,
so I hope that they do a good job with the series.
I need to check it out.
Yeah.
I really do. Oh wait, same one. I usually delete them as I go down the list, so I don't do that. But apparently, I didn't do that one. High flying battle: DC's Batwing versus Marvel's The Falcon. The location: skies above Los Angeles, California. Fight until knockout or incapacitation. So, like, I was thinking about this. Like, who would I pick? I probably would go with Batwing. Honestly, I don't know why. I just feel like Batwing would be the one to win that fight. I guess because, like, you know, the Batman connection, the gadgets, all that kind of thing, and then Falcon. I mean, unless you're talking about the current Falcon, because he's pretty much Captain America too. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's the same character. It's Sam Wilson.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the opposite viewpoint on it. I think that Batwing relies too much on technology, and I think that Sam Wilson relies far more heavily on experience and skill.
That's true. I mean, he was there in game and all those big battles with Thanos and stuff. So he's got. Well, either way, I mean, even the comic version or the film version, like, he does have more experience, and Batwing is kind of a newer character, I guess. Anyway,
Yeah. One thing I'm gonna just mention right now is that the same guy who put that meme up there, I think it's DeQuan Jackson.
Yeah, it was.
He's been sharing a lot of posts recently
Yes,
in honor of Black History Month.
that's
And
nice.
so-
I wanted to share more of them, and I've noticed that. And I was like, let me show more, but I thought that's going to be an hour alone just sharing all his posts. So I picked, I think maybe there's one at least, that one, and there might be another one. I don't remember, but I didn't want to fill it up too much.
Yeah, I really like it. I think that, you know, as we talk this month about the contributions of African Americans to comic book history and these characters that we know and love, I think that we forget that how groundbreakingly important many of them were. Right? In an era where so many superheroes were very white, and so
For sure.
the importance of having characters that are multiracial, etc. That represent the diversity of America. I think that's important.
It is important. And then, like, it would be great if we would have shown that one last and that conversation happened so we could transition into Naomi, because I caught up on that. Didn't watch it for 2 weeks. I forgot about it. Honestly, it's so new. I had forgotten to watch it. So today I watched the last 2 episodes. But
And what do you think?
I think it's good. We'll get more into it in a minute, I guess. But, like, I'm liking it better each episode.
Okay.
At first, I'm like, I was kind of bored. Second episode, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that was kind of cool. Third episode, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So it really kind of hooked me in by the third episode. Or is it the fourth episode? The latest episode.
The third one.
Third one, okay.
The latest was the third.
Yeah, so they really got me in by that episode. I was like, okay, now I want to see what happens with these characters.
Okay, so we'll wait until later to talk about Naomi.
Yeah, we got a few more of these posts. We'll kind of go through them real quick. This one, I'm glad it exists. I had this vision in my head in the theater when I was watching No Way Home. I'm like, I cannot wait for somebody to post a meme about this, because I noticed at the end when Doctor Strange was trying to close all those spell portals or whatever they were, that you could see figures in those little pod openings, whatever they were. And I was trying to place them, and the only one I noticed was Rhino, as you see in the top there. I noticed him right away. I saw the little pointy head thing. But also we had Mysterio, the Superior Spider-Man, and Kraven the Hunter. I think that might have been the only 4. There might have been another 1 or 2. There were dozens of them, but, like, the ones they really wanted us to see were these. And there's so many rumors now that Multiverse of Madness is going to have some of these, if not all of them, in it. Superior Spider-Man is one that interested me the most, because I was like, if they ever do that, who is he going to be? Is he going to be Tom Holland? Is it going to be like somebody else completely? And then Kraven, that's an interesting one too, because we haven't seen a live action Kraven yet at all. We haven't seen Superior Spider-Man either, but we've had the Iron Spider suit. So I mean, it's not the same, but I just love this little picture. And I can't wait for the Blu-ray of that so I can go back and pause and, like, look at each little frame, like, boop. Who do I see?
Absolutely.
Boop, who do I see? that's I did it again.
You're fired.
All right. Yeah, I'm fired. And here we go with Peacemaker. I think you might be my real dad. What? And I'm guessing that's a reference to a joke in the show. Of course, I haven't seen it, so I don't really know. But I thought I would show it up there anyway because I thought that was pretty cool. And I saw something with John Cena was on a talk show. It might have been Jimmy Fallon or something like that. And he had the Peacemaker helmet. He's like, here, you want to hold it? Want to put it on? He's like, okay, you're going to get in trouble for this? Oh, I absolutely will. I don't care. Here, try it on. And it was like, okay. And of course, going back to the wrestling side, I mean, John Cena was a wrestler for so long. And I was a fan at first. And then I was like, okay, I'm tired of watching this guy. But as an entertainer in film, as an actor, I've always enjoyed everything he's done because he's a funny guy. He's real versatile. He could do comedy. He could do action. He could do, I haven't really seen him do a serious drama or anything, but still, he's shown that he's got skill to play so many different characters.
I don't know if I would consider Peacemaker to be a serious drama.
No, I don't think it would be.
Both Peacemaker in Suicide Squad and what I've watched so far, I know, and of the Peacemaker TV show, it is as irreverent as I think a show can possibly get.
I need to watch it.
I know, and I will say of what I've seen so far, it's as irreverent or even more so, if it's possible, than Daredevil 1 or 2.
Okay,
it is.
Corey is saying I'm a wrestling fan. I should have watched it. Is funny enough because John Cena actually had this championship on TV. Not the same one, obviously, but he had this championship. And again, though, I wasn't a huge fan of his for a long time because it was one of those annoying characters. Like, I hate watching him. But no, he was a good guy or whatever, but he was too much good guy for me. Like, the type where it's like no matter what happens, he always has the super strength to overcome. And I'm just like,
oh, yeah.
It's cool for a while and the kids love it, but it's like,
I think we just got called out, though, right?
I think so. I need to watch it.
They just got called out.
This one was funny. I saw this one. I posted it, but I mean, still, I was like, this guy's Steve. Like, I wanted to share it because I thought it was funny. And it's one of those trick memes. It's like if someone came to your wedding like this, what would it upset you? And then you see a circle right here, and you think, oh, it's a guy wearing shorts. How dare he come into it? Wait, what? Is that Thanos? And so I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was great.
I would love to see Thanos if I ever got married and Thanos was just back there. I'm like, can you snap after we're done? Because,
right.
Like, if
and
you look,
he has the glove.
Yeah, he's got the gauntlet on. So I would, much prefer you snap us out and blip us away after we do this. Corey mentioned another comment of Peacemaker. It has a serious turn, though, to I wasn't a Cena fan either. So, thank you. I mean, he was fun at first. He was funny and stuff, but after a while, like 10 years of the same character coming out there, like, never give up, kids. I'm like, okay, I get it. Sorry, this is the John Cena bashing episode. I feel like every day is the Kobayashi Maru, and I'm not James T. Kirk. I mean,
on a personal note, I'm so glad that my wife is not James T. Kirk.
Yeah, that would be a little awkward.
It would have been a little awkward. Yeah.
I mean, like if you knew ahead of time who it was, and we're like, okay, but if she just woke up as James T. Kirk, you're like, holy crap, what are you doing here?
Hello, honey. How are you? It's nice to see you this morning.
Is it time to go on vacation? Let's use Priceline.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, not a very good impression of anybody.
I don't claim to be an impressionist, right?
I don't either. Well, I kind of do, but like not with that, because that was a terrible impression. I think yours is better than mine. Kay posts a lot on our
I love this one.
Yeah.
And hate it at the same time.
With the Predator, he's after 15 seconds of chasing me. There's a little bit more to it, but it kind of got cut off, but you get the idea. I think that's pretty funny. And Kay, unfortunately, she never gets to watch live because I believe she's over in the UK.
Is that right? She spends her time, I think, between the UK and Israel.
Oh, okay.
And so either way, though, the time difference is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like in the middle of the night for her.
It really is. It's like 4 a.m. or something right now. But But hopefully one day, maybe we should do a 4 a.m. show, and so she can watch it in the afternoon.
Boy, that'd be a little bit of a. She better watch.
Yeah, she better watch. Oh, I forgot it was on. I was busy watching The Mandalorian or something.
We were up at 4 a.m. for you.
It'd be like 1 a.m. for you,
I
or
know.
7 a.m. for me, like whatever, however we did it.
Yeah,
maybe one day.
I love you, Kay. You can always watch this, on replay.
Yeah, and this one was funny. I was trying to point, but I forgot. I was using the other hand that wasn't on camera.
I know.
This one is funny. I thought it was. And because they always miss. They always miss.
I love the cod piece flap there too. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I didn't notice it at first. I thought at first that this was the toilet paper roll. And then I saw the toilet paper roll. I was like, wait, what is... Oh. I was like, that's pretty cool. And Corey always has great comments. And I know the comment on the original post, he said he was dehydrated.
Right.
And I was like, well, yeah, it's kind of dark. He should probably see a doctor. But then I was like, why am I analyzing the urine of a meme? Like, and one more. I said what I said, the most useless things ever. Coffee mug with a handle on the inside, a gate that you just walk around, and a little spout that goes back into the pot, and then Eternals. Most useless things ever. And now I won't say that Eternals was useless. Oh, I was trying to make it go away. but I mean, it's not the best thing in the world, but I enjoyed Eternals. I wouldn't call it useless.
In my ranking of MCU movies, Eternals is in the bottom 25%.
Yeah, for sure.
It may not be dead last, but it's close to it.
I think Hawkeye would be dead. No, it's not.
No.
I still got to give Hawkeye a little teasing. But I mean, it was kind of, I see Eternals action figures everywhere. I go out and buy action figures, as I've said before, and there's always Eternals figures everywhere. Like, nobody wants to buy them. And I'm like, why? Right. That was a pretty decent movie. Like, it wasn't terrible. So I'm going to buy some of them one day, but I'm waiting for them to go on a clearance sale. Like,
okay, Steven,
like $8.
Let me prove this one to you. Who were your favorite 3 Eternals?
I know Icarus was probably like my favorite. Because like he was like, before I knew he was the bad guy, I was just like, he could fly. He's more like Superman.
Yeah.
And like, he was really cool. And then the camera dude, and then because he was funny, he wasn't really an Eternal. He was just there. I almost said the Ewoks, but the the little girl, what was her name? The younger,
right?
I liked her too because it was like a kid, and I was like, that's kind of cool. But yeah, other than that, I'm just like, they were all kind of generic. I do like the guy that just like punched, that's all he did was punch. Like everybody else had these crazy. I mean, of course, it was a super powered punch, but still,
right?
It was just a punch.
That was Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
and I think the problem was there were so many characters, it was hard to really develop a relationship with them. Right? The more characters you've got, all of that kind of gets spread out. So,
I have not seen a camera guy action figure, but there is an Owen Wilson figure from Loki, and I almost got it a couple of times, but I'm like, I don't know. I got the Loki figure, but I didn't get the other one.
But Morbius is a main character in Loki.
I mean, yeah.
I feel like the camera guy is a side character who I think really stole the show in many ways.
He really did. It was like the comic relief. There was other comic relief moments, but I mean, like that was like the running comic relief that kind of kept it. Like why he went into battle with them, I have no idea. He's like, "Can I go?" And and they kept snatching the cameras away, and he'd pull another one out. Like it was good. I liked it. If there was a figure of him, and it better have like a bunch of little plastic cameras like in the packaging. I would probably buy that one. But yeah. And I was going to go to the next one, but that was it. That was all the posts that we have.
All right.
And so, talking about, we can go into Naomi since that was more fresh, what we just kind of brought it up a minute ago. I really am liking where they're going. I was watching you and Corey talk last week about episode 2, and I was just like, at that point, I hadn't watched it yet, but I didn't really care about spoilers. Like, we always share spoilers on here. Didn't really care because I wasn't that invested in the show. but I was like, oh, I'll watch it later. It sounds okay. It sounds better than the first episode, and it was. But then I watched the third one, and I was like, okay. When they find out, she finds out her parents knew about all this, and her parents find out that she knows about all this, and then it's like all this stuff happening that, wow, we didn't expect to see this early, because the way they were doing it, you would think that it was going to be a secret from the parents the whole time. It kind of gives me a vibe of Superman and Lois in a sense, because like her dad's a military guy, and she's like, and she was in trouble on the last episode, and she didn't know, but he like delayed inspecting this area so they wouldn't find her. And I'm really intrigued by the disc thing when they put it in the thing, and it kind of reminded me of putting a CD in the microwave.
Yeah.
Finding out it was fake, and these little layers and layers and layers of different things that pop up each week. It's like, okay, now that's a new thing that I didn't realize, and that makes it more interesting.
I think what's interesting about Naomi is so often we go into a lot of these shows like Superman and Lois or Batwoman or Arrow, and we are already kind of familiar with it, with the characters and their backstory. Yeah. And Naomi is such a brand new sort of blank slate sort of character. I mean, she's only been around even in the comic books since 2019. And so...
And yes, Corey points out Earth 29, so we know what their Earth designation is. We know it's not Earth Prime, which we knew it wasn't Earth Prime anyway, but still.
Yeah.
And I love all the multiversal talk.
I think that's interesting. Definitely as we go through this, the potential for crossover. You think about this whole the idea that she's from another Earth, not a different planet, but from another Earth. That kind of makes a little bit more sense for her.
Yeah, it definitely did, because I was like, oh, she's from Mars, or is she from some other made-up planet that doesn't exist that the humans don't know about yet?
Right.
But when they mentioned 29, it was like,
okay. Yeah. I mean, we know about planets like Krypton. I was thinking
Krypton, Mars.
That she was coming from another planet where, much like Superman himself, that coming to Earth made his powers emerge because of the sun. I was thinking that maybe Naomi had a similar kind of situation. But I think it's been interesting seeing the development of her abilities. Oh, yeah. I had thought that she was just going to have powers like Superman, flight and strength and so forth. And as we find out, her power set is much more varied than we would have thought.
Now we know she has like I don't know if it's a telekinesis, but more like but it sort of was. I mean, she has that weird zappy thing. And I think she also has a telekinesis thing where she can because her friend was like, did you open that with your mind? I guess she didn't see her do the shock thing, but still, she has these powers that she's every week that something new happens. And she's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So it's it reminds me of Smallville in a way because of that. And she has friends that she talks to about it, and her family now knows. And so, it's too dangerous to show your power. It's fun because it's got the element of that, but it's also its own thing. It doesn't borrow too much from something else. It doesn't feel too much like a different show. It feels like a new show.
Yeah. I do feel that there is an element. It's almost like a teenage kind of a teenage drama, a little bit more. It's a little less adult. If I were going to make the biggest comparison, I would think it was like a combination of Nancy Drew and Scooby-Doo. I mean, I feel like the only character missing from this show is like a giant Great Dane.
Yeah, a dog.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's a good point, honestly.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on the gang that always seems to go around, kind of hover around Naomi. I'm waiting for them to kind of differentiate themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right now, they really don't seem to have much of an existence aside from all of them being potential relationships for Naomi.
Mm-hmm. And we did see in the latest episode that I think she finally picked one, because her and the other one guy, I don't remember his name. I never remember character names, but we see them kissing at the end. So it's okay,
right?
But is that going to be oh, this is Monday. Tomorrow, I'm gonna like her instead. Like, is it gonna
Right.
be like that? Because
Well,
that's what it seems like.
yeah, I think it was Nathan, and Nathan was
Yeah.
her ex. So they had been together before,
Okay. Yeah.
and then now they've come back. And Nathan is played by Daniel Pug. Um, I do wonder how Anthony and Lourdes and Annabelle will handle that. Whether they're just gonna be like
Yeah.
super cool, or
Jealous.
yeah. I mean, I guess it may the whole idea about Naomi is that she is polyamorous, right? So
Yeah. That's a
um,
little interesting too.
it is. They kind of jump into that without explaining it, and part of me goes, I'm thankful that they didn't. That they've really just kind of they've delved into it without making it a focus of the show.
Yeah, and that's going back to Ghostbusters for just a second. That's what I liked about the Phoebe character because they dropped little pieces to say, "Hey, she's on the spectrum," but without flat out saying this is what's going on with this character.
Right.
And I loved that because when I first saw the movie, I didn't think about that. Saw someone talking about it, I'm like, "Wait a minute, what?" And I watched it again. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I can totally see that." But they normalized that. It wasn't like, "Oh, look at me, look at me, look at me. Let's focus on this one aspect." It just was there.
Yeah.
And
I
I
will
think that was
say
awesome.
Yeah, I will say that what I did enjoy about this very last episode was in regards to Dee's character.
Mhm.
Dee's played by Alexander Wraith, um, and which is funny because his last name is Wraith, um, and he's this angelic kind of character. We know he's a Thanagarian with wings. We finally see him, in battle with that guy who could teleport, and finally, puts his powers to good use. Um, how do you feel about him? How do you feel about D as a mentor?
Ghost Rider meets Power Rangers. Now, that speaking of mentor, he's like the Zordon of the Power Rangers, and he's like there, like you must use your powers wisely. And yeah, I mean, so far he's been okay, but like she's just blindly trusting him every step of the way. Like, why should I do this? Because it's best for you. Okay, and then but she doesn't really know like what to do or what to expect. He's the only one that she has any kind of connection with that understands
Right,
this. So it does make sense that she would like listen to him.
right. Well, the
And
hilarious
yeah,
thing to me though was they're on that bridge, and he tells her to jump off the bridge and that she'll be able to fly. And ultimately, she doesn't, right? She ultimately it jumps off the bridge, and he says she didn't hit the ground. And the next episode, he's training her with tennis balls, and he's like,
yeah,
he wants her to take it slow. I'm like, the last episode you had her jump off a bridge, and
exactly.
now
Yeah,
you got her, bouncing tennis balls. Um, to me, that just seemed hilarious.
I remember watching last week's podcast, and you and Corey talking about that same thing, and then I saw the episode today. I was like, hey, they talked about that, and then I was like, yeah, that's kind of weird, like bouncing, not just bouncing tennis balls, but like bounce, like so simple. Just bouncing it, then now bounce two of them. Like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I jump off a bridge. Like, what? But then Corey asked,
Yeah,
like, angelic or demonic? That's an interesting question because I am looking at D and I'm like, is it possible that he's really a bad guy, like a villain, and he's just testing her to see how strong she can become to know how much of a threat she is?
I don't know. I think
Like,
they've really set up D and Zumbato as being these polar opposites, right? D
right.
is very controlled, very self-controlled, very cerebral,
Mhm.
very intelligent. Um, I would almost say he seems too good.
Yeah.
Um, and Zumbato, even his career of being, a used car
Salesman.
salesman,
Yeah.
um,
Or shady.
we find out that Zumbato was the one who had destroyed Earth 29, and so um, it's just I think that was just a really interesting realization is that he really
Yeah.
is a bad guy. Um,
Yeah, he is. It seems like that. But see, I'm
So
always suspicious of these things. Like, I'm like, he's
right,
probably the good guy, and D's probably the bad guy, and they're just like flipping it. I don't know though.
yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think we're still learning. I am curious. I know that we see a lot of scenes where Naomi, played by Casey Walfall, that she is often, skateboarding wherever she goes.
Yeah,
And part of me wonders whether the actress actually knows how to skateboard or if it's totally a stunt double.
it could be
Um,
a stunt
that
double.
is that is something that I am just curious about.
We have her here now. No.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. I never thought of that. I just assumed like, oh, yeah, their character skates, never thought anything of it. But they totally could have had a stunt skater because the only time you see their feet on the skateboard is when it's focused in on the feet. That could be anybody. And then, of course, upper body moving. It could be on a track, just sliding. Who knows? It would be. I hope she's an actual skateboarder. Because that would be, I don't know, cooler.
We've seen many times where people have skills like Alex Garfin, who plays Jordan on Superman and Lois,
He can actually shoot
actually plays
lasers.
the piano, actually
When you
shoots lasers,
Yeah.
and has cold breath, but he also plays piano. So kind of explains why he pulled that out of his hat last season.
And his grandfather actually is in the military and actually fried some cameras at a convenience store.
Right.
And we actually have to talk about that before we wrap up today.
I know. I like that was a really clever segue into Superman and Lois.
I mean, it was such a good episode because we saw that Bizarro was under the costume instead of Doomsday. Total flip. Like they really made us think it's going to be Doomsday. It's Bizarro.
Superman and Lois, they tricked us. They totally tricked us, and I'm completely down with that.
Yeah, I like Bizarro. I was hoping for Doomsday, but I like Bizarro.
I know. And as we're finding out, Bizarro is definitely formidable and doesn't have, some of the weaknesses that Superman has.
I know. I don't know. They haven't really dove into his weaknesses and stuff just yet. I know the red sun rays.
Are you there?
Oh, I'm here. Are you here?
Oh, you just froze.
Yeah, like I'm looking at my router to see if like the connection is bad because it's like I'm still frozen and you're there, so I know there's a connection, but the router light is red saying like, "Oh, you don't have internet connection," but clearly I do because I can see and hear you.
All right, let's just keep on going.
Yeah, we'll keep going. I'll unmove in a minute. Looks like I just discovered some disgusting secret. I don't know.
Right. Don't you love it how it like freezes at the worst possible moment?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah,
I'm looking at oh, there's the blue light. Maybe that I might have to remove my camera and come back. Let me try that.
Oh, you're still frozen.
Well, we can move on with it, I guess. I'm live via satellite.
Right. Right.
They always have a still image up there.
I had really been wondering to see just how effective that new team of government-sponsored superheroes was going to do. And as we noticed, they got completely massacred. I mean, Bizarro killed them. Well, all but Tag. Tag was the only survivor of the group. So it's too bad that they weren't able to work together instead of working separately. There you are. You're back.
Okay.
You've returned.
I just had to reset because I think I've said this before, but an old cell phone is a camera with an app, and the same app was on the computer under Wi-Fi. So when the Wi-Fi hiccuped, the app kind of went like out of whack, and I just had to close that camera app and reopen it. Because right as we're talking about Superman and Lois, you can't talk about this, and I'm like, come on, universe, because that's one of the best episodes. They're really getting into some good stuff.
It really is great. It's always a concern of mine when a show has a fantastic first season. I'm like, how are you possibly going to follow it up, after that? And season 2 so far has been fantastic.
It's been great. I mean,
it's been consistently good.
We know that Jordan is learning about he knows his powers. Like, he has the freeze breath, he has the lasers, he's getting stronger, but he's not really thinking. He's like, oh, he's with who was he with in that store?
He was there with Sarah,
and there was another person. I guess like her family, like the other girl's family owned the store or something like that.
Right.
And he saw some kids go to the back trying to steal beer, so he just casually walks back there and freezes the ground, and they slip on it and escape and all this. But then he's like, oh crap, a security camera. It doesn't think. It shows that, like, not that all teenagers are that absent-minded, but in the moment he didn't think to consider, okay, let's see where, and that's what his grandfather, says. Like, he just magically goes and scrambles the signal and fixes it. Luckily, his family, Sam Lane, luckily knows about their powers and stuff, because if he didn't, he would have really been in trouble in that moment.
Oh, yeah. So I love the idea that Jordan realizes that despite all of his powers, he lacks skill and training.
Right.
And, and Clark, I think at this point, he's got a lot on his plate. He has to get a pair of glasses. That is probably the next thing that's going to come along.
Yeah. Slick his hair back.
Right. But I think it's a really smart idea that Sam ends up mentoring Jordan, if for no other reason than the fact that Sam has not really been has not really participated in much in Jordan growing up. He was far closer with Jonathan. So I think that's a really important relationship that needs to develop.
Another interesting point to that is, like, he's like, okay, I'll train you, but you can't tell your parents at all. It's like, I get it, but I wonder if there's a hidden reason that he's not sharing as to why he doesn't want them to know. Obviously, if they knew, they're like, no way, you're not ready. But aside from that, I feel like there's more to it than just that, than just him going like, oh, your mom would get mad at me.
I think that he's already gotten in trouble overstepping his bounds before.
Yeah.
And it's that whole, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission kind of thing. He knows that he would get shut down if he asked directly. But I think it says a lot that Jordan came to him and asked him.
Yeah.
So I think he knows that as much as he's enjoying golfing and fishing, that this is far more important.
Definitely.
Like, he didn't even hesitate to go and scramble, to use his resources to scramble that video. I think he was waiting for an opportunity to do this. So I think that's great. The other part for me that I completely saw coming was this thing with Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I knew.
When
I was watching it, I knew. I was thinking that, like, he knew it, and then there it was.
Yeah. You remember when we had Jordan on the show and we were having that conversation about Jonathan getting powers, and he was like, no, I don't think he needs to have powers. But his face was like totally telling us that he knows something, but he can't tell us. And now we understand.
Another thing about that conversation was, like, he literally told us the exact way he would get powers without telling us.
Right.
Because he's like, I don't think Jonathan should get powers because, it's just, I think it'd be cool if he didn't keep. And then he went on to say, like, now, if he got powers maybe a little bit later on, like with X-Kryptonite or something, that would be kind of cool. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing he said after that, and that's immediately what happened. We're going to call him out on that when he comes back on.
I know.
We talked to him, and he said, like, he said maybe at the end of the season he could be trying to come back on.
I know.
And so we got to remember that.
I know. I will give him, some leniency, and that I'm sure contractual obligations don't allow him to spill the beans. That said, I just think that was hilarious.
It was.
he had to have known
He had
that
to.
his character was going to get some powers. Now, right now, it only seems like the X kryptonite is affecting his vision.
Right, and specifically, it's more like what would you call it? Like telescopic vision or something. He could see really far away. Not so much X-ray or any of that kind of stuff. It's
Well,
just
at
like,
least at least so far.
yeah, so far.
You know, I think that much like Jordan didn't get all of his powers all at once. He got them in spurts. I really think
Right.
that we're going to see the more that Jonathan uses this inhaler with the X kryptonite, the more of his, I think, dormant, latent powers
Right.
are going to manifest.
And I think what's going to happen is like his family or friends, somebody will find out he's been using drugs, and he'll stop, and everybody's like, "Oh, how dare you? You could have died, or you don't know what would have happened." And he'll get the big speech from his parents, and then later on he'll have powers still, and they're like, "I thought I told you." It'll be Lois probably. You should never, blah blah blah. And he's like, "I did stop using it. So 12 years ago, I still have the powers. I don't know." And
the girlfriend, in my opinion, is pretty shady. She seems to be playing games with him.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think you're right though. I think that these powers have always been there. I don't think the X kryptonite's giving them to him.
Right.
I think it's just triggering something that was already there.
It's very clear to me that Jordan and Jonathan are two halves of the same whole.
Yeah.
And just as Jordan doesn't have all the powers, right? Like he currently can't fly. He has cold breath, he has heat vision, and he has strength.
Yeah, he doesn't even have the speed yet.
No, and I think that what that really leaves the door open for Jonathan is to get vision, to get speed,
X-ray powers. Flight. He could see the butterflies
and durability. I think that you consider that if he had those speed, flight, and durability with some enhanced strength.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like Jonathan healed his elbow or arm like in 2 minutes, and we called him out on that. He didn't really have much to say about that one either. So that was interesting.
He smiled.
It didn't say anything else. So, I mean, we know he hasn't been using X kryptonite this long because he just started using it for the first time. So, I think that's where it's going to bite him. I think he's going to get overconfident, and he's going to get caught. I think Clark will find out, and he's like, "You can't play football anymore," or something. There's going to be that moment, and then it's really going to come out. And I think he'll maybe, I don't want to say he'll go and be all rebellious and be like, "Oh yeah, well I hate you and I'm not living here anymore." I don't know if it'll get that extreme, but it's leading to something for sure.
So on the flip side, they have allowed Jordan to play, and he has clear superhuman abilities, and they've allowed him to be successful on the field. And the fact that this other quarterback has been using the same X kryptonite on himself to give himself abilities, and as we're finding out, even some of the cheerleaders have been doing the same thing,
so they can cheer better.
Yeah. The peer pressure, I think, that's been involved in this whole thing, I think that's really clear. The story that we haven't talked about yet, and I think that sometimes we focus on the superhero side more than maybe the Lois Lane story side.
Yeah.
We know about Lois and her sister being in this cult.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I had forgotten that her sister was in Supergirl.
Yeah.
And I was reading an article kind of reminding myself that her character was a lot different back then than she is now. And they were talking about the differences. I don't know if this was something Crisis changed because it was Supergirl season 1 that she first appeared. So, but I liked the differences. I was like, okay, this, because now she's this cult member who's like all against everything. Like, you people don't understand. And in the first one, like, she was like she was involved in the military and like helping and doing all this stuff. So it's interesting to see that difference and why they went to that and why they changed her so much.
So the interesting thing to me, they sort of have this this idea that they were going to Chrissy, misrepresented herself and got an invite to this presentation, right? Thinking that that she would infiltrate and that they wouldn't recognize her, and that would give Lois time to be with her sister. And as we find out, they weren't fooled at all.
No, they knew exactly who she was immediately.
I know. To me, that seems amazing that somehow, they not only did they know that Chrissy had been lying. Yeah. And Corey, you stole what I was going to mention here, is that the cult leader is the character Parasite.
It's interesting. That is, because I'm not too familiar with that character. I kind of know of the character, but I don't know that much.
So Parasite is a villain that is able to absorb the life force from people.
Okay.
So you kind of wonder that in this whole idea of this cult, that they're able to ascend to a higher plane when she pulls energy out of them.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So she's sort of built this cult around her power, kind of feeding herself. My guess is that she has probably fed off of somebody who's telepathic or precognitive. Yeah, even Superman's powers.
Corey should probably go into witness protection.
I know. But that's the only way that I can explain the fact that she knew who Chrissy was.
Yeah.
And called her out. Even her complete manipulation of everybody there, both in the diner as well as in the convention. Even setting up the video for Lois to confess live. I thought, wow, that took a lot of planning. It would take somebody either who's devilishly clever or who has some kind of powers to be able to do that.
Or both.
Yeah.
I mean, I really want to see where that character goes, honestly.
I know. Well, and I think that we really see her as being, or we thought that she was a minor character set up for Lois to deal with. And as we're going to find out, she could be just as dangerous or even more dangerous than Bizarro.
Yeah. And I noticed with Bizarro too, he goes off and his necklace thing comes off. And I thought that was interesting, because I can't remember enough about Bizarro to remember what that was for. I know in the comics he had that. And it, I guess, absorbed the energy or something and gave him strength. I don't remember exactly.
So it was strange because it seemed like Bizarro was trying to destroy the amulet. I remember that he was using his heat breath on that amulet, and he couldn't destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know the significance of it, whether it is the connection between him and Clark or exactly how that whole thing works.
And I was going to mention the Smallville version, because I know you guys kind of touched on this last week too.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned that he was like a wraith from the Phantom Zone, but what I forgot was that this Phantom Zone wraith came out because Corey pointed out that he was a clone in the comics. And so in Smallville, he basically was a clone because he took DNA from Clark to become Clark. And that version of Bizarro was more, intelligent, I guess. He could walk around and talk just like Clark. The only difference is if he got into the sunlight, it would hurt him. And kryptonite just made him stronger. Which is the same as the comic version, but the comic version doesn't walk around. In the show we're watching now is way more comic accurate.
Oh yeah,
than what Smallville did, because he's actually looks like a zombified, the backwards S, everything. It's awesome. But I was almost gonna say like I'm glad we finally get Bizarro live action, but I was like, Smallville gave us that, but it was really just Clark. You know, same like an evil Clark, but that got hurt by the sun is all it was. And he ends up defeating him and everything, but still. I'm interested to see like where they go with Bizarro. How long will he be like a season-long villain, or will he just like fade away in a couple episodes?
I think that they had told us that in season 2 there were going to be, multiple villains that come along, and I think that's absolutely true. I think first and foremost we know that there are people who are behind the strings who are pulling the strings, who have they want to either harness or manipulate Bizarro, and so anybody who either they've bitten off more than they can chew, or they have the capacity to do it. And so that's what I'm interested in.
I'm still kind of mad at them for tricking us. I mean, I'm glad that they did because I love stuff like that. But when I saw him come up out of the earth and he had that suit on with the goggles and all that, I'm like, that looks just like the suit from the Doomsday,
right?
The Death of Superman story.
Right. And they did it very intentionally. And remember, again, they did the same thing in season number 1, where they had us thinking that that it was Captain Luther.
Yeah.
And then they reveal, no, he's John Henry Irons as Steel.
Yeah. The same with maybe not quite the same, but very similar to Morgan Edge's character, or not his character, but his Kryptonians. I was thinking it's going to be General Zod this whole time, and then it was his brother. Like that was a curveball. So I don't know that they intentionally did that, but
well, I think that they certainly like to use misdirection. So I feel like that's one of those things that as we continue to watch the show, we need to be prepared for them to throw us a curveball every now and then, because just because they're setting something up over here doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to be what we think it's going to be.
And then Jonathan Kent is not Jonathan Kent. He's actually Waldo without the glasses and clothes.
Right.
That's what they're going to do. I found him. Okay, maybe not that, but I do love like that you could turn on that show every week and not know exactly what you're going to see, because they're like, you tricked me last time, so I don't trust you. And like other shows didn't really have that. Like The Flash is more like, oh, okay, you love Iris and she's your lightning rod, okay. And Superman and Lois is always throwing you in different directions. You really never know where you're going to end up.
Yeah, I think that we certainly know that the writing on the show is next level.
Corey is pretty funny. We thought Diggle was going to become a Green Lantern, but it's just his ear pods.
Right.
He's like, I just want to, because he couldn't open them. I haven't been watching Batwoman like I need to, but I know I've seen clips and seen like his and I watched last week's podcast too.
Right.
And he's got that box that he can't open apparently, so it's like maybe that is. He's like, I want to listen to my music, but I can't open these. Oliver was here. If Oliver was here, he would do it, but he's not. Nobody else can open them. I don't. That's very possible.
Why are you talking about Diggle like he's Mr. T?
I don't know. As I was saying it, I'm like, this does not sound like Diggle.
I pity the fool.
I pity the fool to open my ear pods.
Yeah. So you need to get caught up on Batwoman.
Yeah. Apparently, I have like a whole season to watch.
Yeah. I will say that I wasn't a huge fan of season 2, but season 3 has been really, really good.
I think that's what got me off of it for a while. Like, I think not the same reason you kind of went away from Legends for a bit, but like, I want to talk about just for a second before we close up. But like, Batwoman to me was like that. The season 2 was like, it was all right, but it was like, if it were me and I was making that, I'd have been like, Kate Kane's dead. She's just gone. Don't go through the whole thing about let's bring her back just to be like, okay, she's gone again. Why? Just have her be dead. Whatever. I don't know. It's just kind of like.
But they really had to pass the baton.
Yeah, they did.
Of being Batwoman off to Ryan. Ryan felt like an imposter that had stolen the suit, and she needed to finally have Kate's permission.
Or they could have had Bruce come in like, Ryan, you have my permission. I'm Batman. And then left. That's all they needed to do.
Yeah. But then there wouldn't be a need for Kate to go off and find him.
It's
Or
true.
maybe they could have run off together and gotten lost.
Yeah, I mean, they could have. But
I
you
mean,
know, Legends.
essentially, right now we've got Batman lost and Kate Kane
Looking, yeah,
looking for him, but we'll never talk. We'll never see her again.
yeah. I mean, well, you never know. Like, she could come back and like, I found Bruce. He's dead. Give me my suit back. I doubt that'll happen.
Right.
But Legends, yeah, I've really liked this season of Legends. They've been stuck in the past for like, well, now they're not quite stuck, but I love where that show has gone. Well, I'm just gonna stop rambling and say it because hot real life human Gideon is probably one of the reasons I'm watching it. And I love her and Gary's relationship. I think it's funny. Like, they got caught by the whole Legends team. And they're like, oh my gosh, no. And just, I love that part of it. But I love where it's going. You know, they're fighting against themselves basically this whole season. And it's like, who are these people chasing us? We don't know. And then they find out it's basically robotic versions.
It's totally a ripoff of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Right? They're fighting robot us's. That's what it is.
Yeah, I thought, dude, whoa, excellent.
I do have to say that Nick Zano's Citizen Steel, where he's like, super buff.
Yeah,
right? He's just like ridiculous. He's like a like a meathead completely.
Yep.
I thought that was hilarious.
And I love when they met each other. Because you get to the point where like the Legends meet the other Legends, and like one by one they end up like accidentally like killing half of the team, I guess. But I love when he gets hit and he starts talking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, why am I talking like this? Oh, like, why? It's hilarious though. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I mean, I think that for both of us, the part that had really been mind-bendingly awesome though was Thawne. Even just a small little moment, Thawne popping up in the episode and being this this kind of time agent who monitors this fixed point. Thought that was pretty cool.
It's kind of like Loki and Owen Wilson in a way. Did you watch the latest episode of Legends? Like I think you did. Right?
I did.
You said you caught it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we find out that like I'm excited to see Thawne. I'm like, oh my gosh, are they gonna like tie this in with anything? It's like we find out he's been stuck in that moment of time ever since the Black Flash grabbed him off that field for like 3 years ago. He's been in this moment that long. And if so, that of course melted my brain. It still kind of melts my brain because we just saw Tom Cavanaugh's Reverse Flash, and like a couple of weeks ago, like a month ago, whatever it was. And then here's this other Thawne existing, and I'm like, you can't. That's the rules because you can't do that.
Well, I think that whole idea of creating a time remnant, right? We've seen how time remnants can essentially have existences all of their own, independent of each other. And so I could definitely see this as being, a time remnant of Reverse Flash.
I think that's more than likely what it is, because it really blew my mind at first, because we knew that version of Thawne eventually became the newer version of Thawne in The Flash. Like, it was the same guy. He had all the memories of all that. He was the same dude. And now we find out that the same one is not the same one anymore. It's like split. And I'm just going to accept the fact that they're not the same.
Right.
Because this is going to be one of those Savitar loops in my head. Even though it's not the same, it's going to be one of those loops in my head that I can never figure out. But that doesn't matter anymore, because Thawne dies in the next episode. So it's like he was there for 2 episodes, and that was it. He's gone. It's like, what? That's even more shocking than him appearing to begin with to me.
He shows up to pass that baton off to Sarah.
Which then ends up not being Sarah. It ends up being, who was it that got it? The Steel, the evil robotic beefed up steal. That's who ends up going in her place, I think. Because he like kind of reverse psychology. He's like, oh man, I'm so happy that I get to do this. He's like, give it to me. I want to do it. And then he just gets zapped in. But it makes me wonder if that version of Thawne would be coming back, because why would it be? I know he had to pass that on to somebody else, but like he didn't have to pass it on. He could have just stayed there with it.
I think that version of Thawne actually legitimately died, but there is an infinite number of Thawnes throughout time that are still traveling around causing trouble.
And I think for me, I get confused with all the Wells, because all the Wells were merged into one guy. And that's where it confuses me, because Thawne was not really real anymore. He was real, but he wasn't a physical form. He was just some spirit that was floating around somewhere. And when that happened, like, he was Thawne for so long that the Speed Force or whatever thought he was a Wells, I guess. But he escaped all that. So he was running around on his own. Now he's in prison in 2022. But yeah, I didn't stop to think that, like, all the Wells came together, not all the Thawnes.
Yeah.
So there could still be infinite timelines of Thawne, like in the future before he goes back the first time, because the first time he goes back, he wants to be a hero. You know, he wants to be the Flash, and then the Flash like stops him. And he's all mad and everything. That version, the good version before he turns evil, could still be floating around in time somewhere. So
yeah, that's the way that I'm seeing it, is that there are time remnants of Eobard and Thawne that are running around independent of each other, still wreaking havoc. And that's the reason.
The part that got me like kind of not annoyed, but disappointed is like we see the original Thawne, Matt Letcher, as Thawne, and then he's gone in 2 episodes. Like, I was so excited to see him.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the rest of the season, maybe join the Legends instead of fighting against them, and then he's just gone. I'm like, man, come on. It's like, why? I want to see him go back to Flash and be Reverse Flash. But he hasn't been back to that show.
You never know. I feel like the big thing we know about Thawne is he never stays gone for long.
That's true. He always pops up somewhere. I'm waiting on the Flash to come back. I know we got like a month before the show comes back. I want to see if season 8 continues to be okay. I know the last part of that Armageddon short series or whatever was kind of a letdown, but it wasn't it wasn't as bad as the last 2 seasons, I don't think.
I saw enough potential that I'm excited for the rest of the season.
To see where it goes and see Bart and Nora come back, because they've been showing like promotional images and like talking about the story. They're going to be back, and like the whole idea is that they've screwed up time and now they have to try to fix it. And of course that's kind of the running theme of his kids, but I don't know. We'll see what happens there and see. I just hope that they don't have to break out Thawne from prison to have him help them, just like he did like a couple of years ago with Nora. Like, please don't. Unless he's a legitimate good guy now. He's like changed and like he's now a good guy helping, and he becomes part of the family or whatever. I don't know.
All right. Well, it is getting late.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's probably time to go ahead and wrap things up.
Yeah, I got a little excited talking about Ghostbusters earlier on in the episode.
No, I'm glad you had a week off and had a lot of catching up to do, so I'm not complaining about that at all. I've got dinner. I
need to get some food myself, and it's late here, but I'm like I ate like at 4 or 5. I'm like, that's too late.
So I know that you're gonna put up our information. Just a reminder for anybody watching us right now: if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are any of those companies we mentioned here that are interested in sponsoring our podcast, or if you're watching this and you have some extra money that you want to throw our way, we'll always take sponsorship, just like we've been sponsored by none other than the OG Mark Guggenheim himself. So, yeah,
it's been great. It's been fun. Hopefully, we can get Mark back on the show again soon.
It would be awesome.
It's been a while.
I think it was our 1-year anniversary show, right?
That's the last
we had
time.
him on.
Yeah, about a year ago is when he, well, a little over a year ago, that he popped up for a minute. And he was only here for a minute or two, but still, he was here. And that's, thank you.
All right. Thanks, James.
Get all your friends and everybody to watch us and force them to blackmail them and whatever you got to do.
Right.
Maybe not. Be nice about it. Say please, but make sure they do it. Play us really loudly so they can't hear anything else. But yeah, check out all those. I was gonna say all those sites, but like all our social medias, and you'll see it again when we close out the show, the theme song, and all that. But it's been fun. I was like full of energy, ready to talk. I'm just like, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna say everything. But yeah, it's been good to be back this week, and hopefully I don't get some kind of like weird illness again or something. But we'll be back next week, and I'm excited to talk more about Naomi, and hopefully I can find some time to watch some of this other stuff, catch up on some Batwoman, watch some more of I was like, what's that guy's name? Daredevil. Watch more of that kind of stuff. Catch up on it.
All right. Sounds perfect.
All right. Well, have a good night.
All right.
And we'll talk next week.
All right. Adios.
See ya. Bye, everybody.